And we have a whole new panel of people to talk to. So this is the great thing about being a contributor to WordPress, the amount of different people that you get to meet. And today will be no different. We've got a couple of people that you might have met before on some of our previous recordings, but now we've got some new ones too. So we're going to go around and have a quick chat with everybody and see what they've been doing for what is now turning out to be WordPress Translation Fortnight. So first of all, I'm going to go over to Aditi, who is going to do the welcome to everybody and just quickly capture everybody's name and what country they're from.
Okay, so hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm Aditi and I'm from Kolkata, India. So I know it's been a busy week for each and every one of us present here. It's been a really hectic week. We all have been contributing to WordPress in whatever way we are that's possible. So I would first like to ask Sudar, can you please tell me about your experience? How was it?
Hi, Aditi. My name is Sudar. I'm from Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India, like pretty much like towards the south of India. So we had our translation day today. So we were trying to translate WordPress to Tamil, which is my mother language. And we had the event for about 3 hours. We initially planned it for 2 hours, but then extended up because like a lot of people were interested and we just got going. So we started with doing some small translations first and then moved on to clean up the glossary because we spent a lot of time cleaning up the glossary and coming up with a lot of new words and having proper translations for them because A, that needed the entire group to be there, and also B, like once the glossary is in shape, like new contributors who are just coming in, it becomes very, very easy for them to just, start contributing. So that was the plan. And I think it went really well today. We got about almost 70-80% of the glossary done. And we're planning to meet again in a slightly regular manner, probably once a month or something, and get those things done. And yeah, one interesting tidbit that happened in our meeting is people joined from 3 different countries. So there was one who joined from Canada. There was one person who joined from US, and the rest are all over India. And we all got together and started contributing and translating WordPress in Tamil.
Wow, that's quite a good number. Now I'd like to share Suresh's experience about the translation, how it
Hi.
went, how the whole event went. Can you please share it with us?
Yeah, sure. I'm Suresha from Bangalore, WordPress Chennai. Uh, oh, sorry. I just heard about Sudar and I'm telling about Chennai. Actually, I'm from Bangalore. We had a mini event for 1 hour on September 30th. And went on very well because there uh, you are hearing my background sound, it seems. Okay. That day we had some introduction about how to translate by Om Shiv Prakash, and then I spoke about why do we need to translate, uh, and the language barriers which we have to overcome to meet many people. So it went on well, and this was presented in WordPress TV also. So I'm very happy.
Thank you, Aditi, and thank you for everyone who's told us about what they've been doing today. I just want to move across to Mahir. Mahir, you've been very heavily involved in actually encouraging communities not only in India but across Asia to get involved the last 2 weeks. Why is it so special, and why is it so important for communities to do something locally?
One of the reasons it is important for local communities to do is because they are helping their own people. They are helping their own people to start using WordPress in their own language. And also, somewhere, the people who live in international, in outside the country, they're helping those people also to relate to the language and try and contribute and help.
We obviously have brought all the events together, and that's a big part of what we've done as part of the WordPress Make marketing team, but also working with the Polyglots and as WordPress Translation Day organizers. So Mahia, does it make it easier for people to contribute if they think other people are also doing so, not only in their own language, but also in other places in different languages?
Yes, it does. The first time I started my contribution in Polyglots was seeing other people contribute in their language locally as well as internationally on the screen. And you could see the the passion they have to, just translate, because it helps others. Somewhere it is helping someone to get their website up on WordPress and translate and share information in the language they want to. So it got me started, and others inspired me. I inspired my friend to start. So it is a circle of inspiration.
And I know we started off as having 1 or 2 mini events, and we've been running mini events all year. And it's escalated into lots of locales doing drop-ins, doing little sessions, and just people translating and dropping a line and saying, okay, I've done 50 strings today. And for those who are not used to what translation is, 50 strings is about 50 sentences, roughly. And it's been lovely to see that. But we've also been asked to do a string of events, bringing everything all together. So this live session today is part of that, and we have many more planned. We've also got lots of contributor stories to share with you in the coming weeks, and from our mini events earlier in the year, where we're still collecting pictures and things that we can bring together. So if you took part in a mini event in 2020 and you haven't had chance to tell your story within that, then please get in touch, and we'll love to bring that together. We now have a form to make it all a bit easier, and you can either contact the Make WordPress marketing team on the Slack channel, or you can contact your local organizers and find out how to do that. And that neatly brings me to come and introduce one of our other panelists today. So we have Ahmed, who is joining us from Bangladesh. Hello, Ahmed.
Hi, Abha. Hello, everyone. It's good to be a part of this translation fortnight celebration in 2020. And I'm very glad to be a part of the panel today.
It's nice to see you. So we're doing our interviews in groups. So we're trying to still keep people connected, despite the fact that we can't actually meet each other. And as you'll appreciate, this is live, so there may be changes in views and cameras that we can't do anything about, but we are wanting to make sure that everybody can actually be part of this. So we are going to talk to Ahmed a little bit more about a couple of things that he and I have already been writing about. So Ahmed, in terms of the language and being able to read and make a website in your own language, why is it special, particularly for younger people who are just starting out in their careers, to actually get involved and be part of that translation?
So I think this is a very interesting point to mention, that even for myself, when I'm about to answer your question, I had a similar experience. My introduction to WordPress was in 2009 through a friend asking for some translations, and I helped him out for a university assignment. So long story short, I did contribute to Mozilla, Wikipedia in translating to Bengali. However, when actually opened my WordG account, I found it was so easy and encouraging when I had it on my own language. So for young people or people who are just starting out their career with a small project, a site project, or an assignment, or actually for a freelance job or a particular job task, it is very essential if you have it on your own language, because it's always a great motivation to start. It gives you the confidence that you know what you are supposed to do, and it can be always encouraging for other peoples when you try to collaborate with your peers.
Thank you, Ahmed, for sharing that and for joining the interviews today. So I want to just come back to Suresh. You've had a really good day, and I love the fact that people have been involved and it's been so popular. You extended the time, so and I know that's been the case in all the events this week and last week, that people have gone, okay, I'd like to keep carrying on. We've had people who've done that in WordPress Translation Day 4 last year as well. Can you just tell us a little bit about how timings work for translation? So what kind of time do people need to set aside so that they can actually translate?
Okay, so I mean, I would probably say like for people to actually translate, the amount of time that they have to spend is not that much. And also, like, if you look at the interface that WordPress has for doing the translations and submitting the translation strings, it's actually pretty very intuitive and very easy to get started. All you need is like a WordPress.org account, and once you're logged in, like all you need to do is like just click, and then you'll be able to submit your translations. There are also a lot of interesting tidbits that are available in that interface. For example, like when you are clicking up or trying to submit a particular translation, it will also try to show you or highlight the glossary. Like if there is a particular noun or adjective, then it will be highlighted. And it is also has a feature, something called from memory. So basically based on the strings that are already translated, it would try to automatically come up with a translation, and all you need to do is just verify that and then submit it back. So that is also there. And there are also other interesting aspects, like you could see how this particular string is translated in other languages. Like if you're multilingual, you could also check quickly, and you can also check where exactly in the source code this particular string is appearing. Like so even if you're a developer or somebody who was just using the interface, like, or just using the software, not that much into code, it caters to the wide range of audience. And to answer your original question, right, how long it would take for somebody to just get started and submit a particular string, I would say hardly a few minutes per string. And most of the strings are very small in length, like just a couple of words. So to get started, it would be very, very easy. And once you get started, it, like, I've seen a lot of people actually, like, they would probably want to do just like 5 or 6 strings, but once they have done it, like getting started with it, then they would realize that it's actually very easy. So they just keep submitting it. So if you look at the, like, if you look at the sessions in which people have submitted, usually, like, the number of batches of strings per, I mean, the number of strings per batch is usually very high, because, like, once people get started, they just keep continuing and then start contributing more strings. So I would say it's very easy and it's very quick as well.
And you've heard it from someone who's doing it all the time, which is great, because I think that's what counts. I think sometimes the power of someone telling you and showing you is much greater than just reading it on the page. And for some, the combination is really important. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create different ways of helping people get started. You talked about the Make WordPress.org and getting an account on there. Mahir, do you want to tell a little bit more about how the marketing team and WordCamp Europe have been working together to create onboarding videos to do just that and help people get started?
So the marketing team, someone came up to the marketing team and said that it's difficult for some people to get on Slack and it's confusing. So the marketing team has created a video on how to create your WordPress.org account and how to come on the WordPress.org Make Slack channel. And these videos are created in different languages. And we have Spain, we have Russian, we have Hindi, we have Bengali, we have, I think, more than 10 videos translated.
We actually now have nearly 20. So
20. We have 20 videos.
Yeah, and we've got a lot more going. So we've got German, we've got French, we've got Italian in the making. We have English US. We have a couple more Indian languages that are being made, and we're actually going to feature this a bit more later. But it's been really good. So, but we also always want more translations, don't we?
Yes.
And we also, it's really easy. The way we've created it is so that you don't have to be an existing polyglot. So if you want to just get started, it's a great introduction. You need to be competent in the translation, and you can work with somebody else, so who is a good and experienced presenter, so that they could do the voiceover and you could do the translation, and then you check it with your locale to make sure the translation is right, and then synchronize a video. So it needs lots of different people involved, and it's a great way of going, okay, I could help with this, and then getting involved and doing a lot more strings as well. And we found that everybody who has done that, which is brilliant. So Mahir, I know you have a lot more questions to ask. I'm going to hand over to you so that you can interview our various people and find out a little bit more about their events.
Sure. So Ahmed, share your experience about if you have to tell someone, why is it necessary to contribute? What do you tell them?
So the first thing we always encourage anyone and everyone to contributing to WordPress is that it can be done by anyone. You don't need any set of skills. And especially when we talk about translations, we mention that however way and whatever way you are able to express, you can take assistance from someone, work together, and come up with the practice of the standards that are maintained in the Polyglots team for WordPress, which is very easily documented. When I first started, I had my fair share of studying through the handbook. But these days, the things that are so widely shared and content is so widely available, easily downloadable, accessible. So that makes it quite easy for anyone to learn even within their own capabilities. So I personally try to encourage anyone and everyone with the first practice of participation. So when they start joining the meetups, I know we do join using the virtual conferencing platform these days, but then again, we encourage everyone to start attending these meetups. And then we specifically have a session in our own community where people try to focus on translation for per se 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and we try to do it in a group that encourages each other. It's not a competition, but it's more like a collaboration, because Bengali itself is quite behind when you look at the reality, and we need a lot of contributors to translate Bengali strings for WordPress, so that WordPress is available in Bengali as soon as the new release is out there. We know that 5.6 is just out there, and it's gonna be an all women-led team, and which is why we try to encourage contributors who are female in our own community. Even though we didn't have much, we had only a few coming up in our last celebration, but today I'm proud to share that at this moment we have about 3 contributors who are showing up at least once a month to our meetups and translating WordPress strings to Bengali, who are from the female kind.
That's nice. Working in a group helps all the newcomers to ease their anxiety and also learn from the experienced people, and get to just start. And
Absolutely.
I'm also impressed at the 3 new people who are contributing every day, because seeing them contribute every day, there will be other new people who will start joining. There will be people who used to, and due to some uh, reason they've stopped contributing. Seeing them, they will inspire and come back. It's just a growing community.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So Suresh, when was your first time you started contributing in Polyglots? And how did you come to Polyglots?
Yeah, once in a WordPress Bengaluru meetup, Vedanshu Jain gave introduction about how to contribute to as a polyglot or something. Then I started with giving only two strings. Okay, then he told me how to create a Slack account, how to make an account in make.wordpress.org. Then I started doing. Then, as Sudar Muthu said, once we start, we will not stop with two strings or three strings. We keep on doing it, like playing a video game. Whatever strings we know, we keep on doing, and we search for any easy things will come or like that. Then there is one more thing which will give suggestions. That is very good. That we will take suggestions from that. And sometimes when I get difficult words, then I will search for other language translations where how they have done, in what context they have done it. Then I'll try to implement in Kannada language also.
Nice.
Yeah, one Ahmed, as Ahmed said, really group work will definitely help.
Yes, I do
Because
agree.
yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. See, even that is why I am showing this one. Do action. The work which will take 1 month to complete, that day we did it in 1 day because of that group work. Uh, even translations should be done in 1 day or like group activity. Yeah, now because of this pandemic, we have to do remotely. But even like how you are conducting this panel discussion, even translation should also happen like this. Then only we can convert more and more languages. This one, see, our Kannada language only 4.9 is out, so we are lagging behind.
So in terms of doing the release, do you start with the most recent release, or do you work forwards? So from the where you've got to.
Now I am working on 5.4. I'm concentrating on that one only because I'm contributing there only. Because anyhow, once that new version will come, whatever is approved will be carried forward. No, so no worries.
So that's really useful. So a question I have is that many people are not sure when they start translating strings, particularly if it's been translated in part. So you've got a whole sentence and then you've got nothing that's been translated in a whole sentence. That can feel a little confusing. And they're not sure how to go about that. And particularly if it's mid-sentences people have done. So what advice do you have in general for people who are here today about that?
Yeah, see, whenever we are translating a word to word translation, it is easier because if you say internet, we can say antarjala in Kannada. That is easy. But when it is in a sentence or mid sentence, we have to study and we have to comprehend that what context that sentence has been used, and in our own language how we speak or how we try to convey the same thing in our own language. Then we have to make a sentence in our own language and we have to put it, and we cannot do word to word translation.
So what happens, just opening up to everybody, what happens if you are translating and you find that a sentence is not being translated? Do you go back and retranslate that, or just some tips really for maintaining the flow and not feeling a bit lost as you're in a section?
Yeah, see, whenever we are translating that keyword, that key string, whatever we have to translate, we have to see where actually we have used that one. They have given that link also in our WordPress. If we click, it will show where that actual string will come. Then we will know actual need for the translation where we have to do. and that literature translation and WordPress translation, we have little difference, because in literature translation we do exactly word to word and everything in our own language, while doing softwares like WordPress or somewhere where people will understand that this one we have to take their mindset, because see, network, we are not exactly translating that one. We transliterate those things. Some of the terminologies we transliterate.
That's really helpful. Sudar, is there something you'd like to add to that?
Yep. As Suresh said, right, like knowing the context in which that string is going to be used is very, very important during the translation. Another point that he touched upon is like, which I also want to add, is the fact that you don't have to literally translate every word in a string. So one of the best practices that you can follow, especially when we are translating for software, right? Not like literature translation where you're translating a book or something like that, is the fact that you don't have to literally do word by word translation. Sometimes it's you have to look at the context and then have to switch, because like when you compare with English and other languages, right, the same word might mean different things like, you know, acronyms, or things like normal sayings and things like that, right? So it might be easier if you know the context and then change them. Another thing that we generally do in translation, at least for Tamil translations, which we have, I think this is also mentioned in the translation handbook, is also make sure that certain things are not translated but transliterated, which means that basically write the same word in your language. One example that we came across today is cookie, right? Cookie is actually referring to the browser cookie, right? And there's no point converting that into the local language, because it's not going to add value to the end user, because cookie is a very common term. And so what we decided to do was just like, you know, rewrite that cookie in Tamil, in like whatever language that we are translating. So sometimes it might be easier to just, or sometimes you have to remember that it might be, you have to think about the end user's ease of use as your primary reason for doing the translation, instead of you know, trying to do making sure it's exactly like, you know, word to word translation. Another example that we came across is nouns. Nouns is a technical term that's used in WordPress for handling security and other things. And instead of like, you know, translating that word, we decided to just use the literal translation. And I think we did the same thing for post type. We have like custom post types in WordPress. So post type is actually more a concept than a word in WordPress. And if you actually like, you know, try to do the translation and translate those words into your own language, it kind of loses the essence of the software. So as Suresh mentioned, like these are certain things which would be very helpful for somebody who's just getting started to translation.
We've collected lots of questions that have come in, and I think we're going to have to borrow you to make sure you help us answer some of those questions with those wonderful explanations. So thank you. I just wanted to jump over to Aditya as one of our final questions for this session. Aditi, when you started translating and you were presented with all these strings and all these different opportunities to translate, how do you pick where to get started?
Actually, during my initial days when I started off, so firstly I started with only the glossary part, where I started off with translating small words, and then when I got used to translating all of them, then I moved on with the long sentences, because it's easier for me to, because since I was starting off at that point of time, I didn't have that kind of idea about how to do it. I had to to take help from my mentors who were helping me at that point of time. So I started off with small words, and during the whole process, then after submitting them, when those things got approved, then I went on with long sentences. And there, as said, that there are some things called nouns and cookie, like those are the things. I honestly speaking, I really made mistake during my initial days of translation. I literally translated those things in Bengali, since that was the language I'm translating. So eventually, in the point of time, I came to know that no, these are the things which has to be just translated. Those things in those did not to be translated. Just we have to write those things in the local language. So I got to learn many new things during the whole process. So I was initially I was very much excited because I got to translate it in my own language. So it's a process, as I said earlier also, that once you get started to it, it's kind of an exciting game for each and everyone, like submitting and again another word comes up, you translate it. So it's kind of an exciting game for me, and an easier way to contribute to the local as well as WordPress community. So I enjoyed the overall process, honestly.
I love the way that she describes it as a game. It's fantastic, and it's such appeal. So, and that sadly brings us to the end of this session. We've got another 5 sessions today, and but we will be hearing from many of these people again as we start a regular series on WordPress translation. So I'd just like to thank everybody who has joined, and please stay in touch. Please tell us what you've been doing in translation, your stories. If you haven't already shared your pictures, your contributor stories, filled in our forms about the kind of things that can help in the future, please do. And again, to the people who are listening and watching this in all over the world, we thank you for dipping in and coming and finding out about translation, and we hope that you will come and do a little bit yourself. It's not difficult, it's great fun, and you can join all these wonderful people that we've been talking to this fortnight and translate yourself. So happy translating, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much for
Thank
having
you.
us.